All rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening.
Microphone.
Good evening. We have a roll call.
Chairman, this meeting has been advertised in the accordance of the Sunshine Act.
Oh, thank you.
Roll call, Mr. Candell, Ms. Larman, Mr. Mueller, Mr. Shaw, Ms. Sataka, Mr. Voloshin, Mr. Williams, Councilman Zabrowski, Chairman Ty.
Here.
We have a quorum.
This has been we have a roll call memorialization of resolutions.
None this evening?
Have we need to pass the minutes from the last meeting.
There's none this evening.
Okay, communication agenda.
Nope.
All right, site plan subdivision.
We have one currently, application number 24-05, Prestige Plumbing and Heating, preliminary and final major site plan, 2060 Highway 35 South Amboy, Block 522, Lot 801.
Mr. Himmel, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, nice to see you.
Good to be seen, better than being viewed.
What's that? I hear it. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. David Himmelman for the applicant, Prestige Plumbing and Heating. And Mr. Chairman, I just have a brief overview, and then we can proceed with our presentation, if that's okay.
That's perfect.
Thank you so much. As indicated, so this is an application on behalf of Prestige Plumbing and Heating. As you know, we've applied to your board for preliminary and final site plan and bulk variance approval. And for the record, the property is identified as Block 422, Lot 801, Port Huron, Sayreville, and the address is 2060 Route 35. The applicant, as you'll hear from our witnesses, proposes to renovate and partially demolish the existing building on the property and to construct a two-story structure consisting of about 3,898 square feet with a walkout basement. In addition, we're going to show a rear gravel storage yard and a small scale basement in the rear of the property. The applicant, Mr. Chairman, intends on relocating its business here in Sayreville, and we'll hear all about that. So that's sort of an exciting element to this whole project. For the record, the property is located in the B3 Highway Business Zone. The proposed a two-story office building is permitted, of course, within the zone, and outdoor storage is permitted as an accessory use in the B3 zone. The applicant has a variety of bulk variances, which our engineer will review. And we have three witnesses this evening, Mr. Robert Bruno, who's the owner of Mark Weaver, who's our professional engineer and planner, and Lawrence Mandarino, who's our architect. We have received the professional review memos, and we're going to go through all those and hopefully address them in our testimony. But obviously, your board professionals are here that they could make sure we cover all those bases.
I'm sure they will.
Further at this point, so we can call our first witness if that works for you.
That's fine.
Okay. Not being picked up?
No, I can hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening. Thank you for it.
You raise your right hand.
Yep.
You solemnly swear from the testimony you're going to give tonight's truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Robert Bruno, 6 Bellevue Road, Homedale, New Jersey, 07733.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Bruno, welcome. Just some preliminary questions for you to educate the board. So you are the current owner of Prestige Plumbing, is that correct?
Correct.
And you've been in business for how long?
Prestige has been incorporated since 2002.
Fair enough. And what type of business does Prestige cover, and what type of projects do you generally handle?
We're a domestic plumbing company, but we do larger infrastructure type projects consisting of about 80%, 80 to 85% of our work. We do commercial and industrial service, mostly hospitals, Our clients consist of Brooklyn Hospital, New York City Public Libraries, New York City Office of Medical Examiners, New York City Parks Department. That's the majority of what we do.
Great. And it's your intention, should the board approve this application and you move forward and you build out this project, to relocate your business here into Saraville, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. So just describe, if you would, just generally, I've gone over what you're looking to do in terms of the renovation, but if you could just go over that briefly, what you're looking to do in terms of the building
The physical,
renovation.
so what I would like to do, what my dream would be, is to demolish the existing structure that's there and build off the existing foundation, do an alteration, make it a little bigger, a little wider, and go up 2 stories with it. And that would be headquarters for Prestige Plumbing.
Fair enough. Okay, now, the board's professionals asked us to go through sort of operational issues and questions about the business. So can you just go over generally what your hours of sorry,
Wasn't us.
hope not. What your hours of operation are and the number of employees that you're going to have in the property, et cetera, and also, how you will operate at the site generally.
So we started about 5:30 in the morning, every morning, and we end about 12 hours later, 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. We are truly 24 hours, 7-day a week service business for our clients, but the majority of the men have trucks that they take home. So they're dispatched from their homes at night. We have 6 full-time employees in the office, consists of 2 admin girls, a bookkeeper, an engineer, and then I have 2 project managers that are in and out of the office sometimes 2-3 times a week, sometimes not at all,
Very good.
and myself.
Great. One of the other questions that the board professionals had to do with the equipment and the material storage area. So generally, if you could describe what types and how many vehicles will be parked approximately in that rear storage area that we're proposing, and also the type of materials that will be stored and how it's accessed.
So the rear storage area will consist of about 10 service vans. We have mini excavators up to 3 Cat 315 excavators. We use small Ford F-550 dump trucks. That's pretty much it as far as equipment. And 2 Bobcats. So there's about six pieces of equipment, 2 dump trucks, and I do have 2 Vacta trucks as well. I have,
And they're obviously moved accordingly based on your project demands,
based on the
correct?
workload, yep.
Correct. Now, what about the materials in the back? I understand that you're going to be storing there. I understand they're obviously related to your project work. So can you just go over what they generally will be? What kind of materials? And I understand that's new materials coming in, right, that are stored there.
Yeah, we don't store a ton of material, but what we do keep is for emergency purposes. So you'd have a variance of 4 to 6, 8 up to 12-inch ductile iron pipe for water main breaks. Same thing with cast iron, extra heavy cast iron pipe for sewer breaks, and various plumbing pipes and
Okay.
fittings.
Great. How about deliveries? How often do they come to the property, and how are they handled, and how frequently would you get deliveries?
Deliveries to the shop are maybe 3 times a week. Most of the material goes directly to the job unless we have to coordinate where we can't deliver directly to a job site. So, but it's about 3 times a week.
And the vehicles that are delivering would be like small trucks or?
They're usually box trucks. Some of our suppliers include Ferguson, General Plumbing Supply, but it's box truck or a rack truck, but medium body trucks.
Okay, very good. Mr. Bruno, is anything else you'd like to cover with regard to anything we've gone over? Anything you'd like to add for the board to be aware about your company, the application, or you think you've covered it all?
Well, I started in the industry at 17 years old. I'm 58. We've been doing it a long time. I brought some project profiles if anybody would like to review them. Gives you an idea of what we do and who we do it for. But other than that, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman.
Anybody have any questions? We're good? I think you explained it well enough.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Mr. Chairman, our next witness will be our professional engineer and planner, Mr. Mark Lieber, who I believe has some handouts also. And we can have these marked, I guess, as, well, I guess there's several, so we can mark them as needed, but I guess we'll start with A1. And Mr. Lieber can identify
Do
what.
you want to mark them as a set or you
We
want to
can
mark
mark
them
them as a set. That's probably easier. Yeah, can I have, Beth, did you have? Thank you so much, yeah, okay.
Keeping you in the dark?
What's that? Yeah, what else is new?
So, Mr. Hellman, what we'll do is that we're going to mark as A1
Set, correct?
with today's date,
Right?
which is a set of
21st.
consisting of 3 pages, total of 6 photographs.
Terrific. Okay, I guess the first thing we'd have to have Mr. Lieber sworn in and qualified.
Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear affirm testimony you give tonight's truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and actually spell your last name and provide your address, please.
It's Mark with a C. My last name is Lieber, Leber, and I'm at East Point Engineering. It's 11 South Main Street in Marlboro.
Thank you. So would you briefly give a description of your CV and qualifications so we can get you qualified as an expert in planning and engineering? Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from Drexel University. Following graduation, I completed the part-time MBA program at Rutgers Graduate School and was licensed in 2003 as a professional engineer. In 2005, I passed the New Jersey planning exam, and in 2006, you okay? 2006, I completed the Certified Municipal Engineering Certificate program. Since that time, I've testified before numerous boards, including this board, as well as your planning board, the county, and I've been certified as a expert in municipal court and superior court.
Take a motion to accept his credentials. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
You're up.
Okay, Mark, before we proceed, I know you have exhibits that you provided, but also I believe you, just for the record, I want to clarify before you testify that the site plan you're going to refer to last revised May 16th, 24, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, would you just, if you would, introduce the project, discuss the relief that we're seeking, and also address the variances, and we can go through obviously the professional review memos as well. You don't have a physical board that you want to utilize for your site plan, correct?
No, I don't have a board. I
Okay.
assume everybody has a copy of the plan.
So, Mr. Chairman, we're going to refer to that site plan as we're testifying. I presume everyone has that?
Yes.
Okay, great, okay. So with that, Mr. Lieber, I will turn over the introduction and your testimony accordingly.
All righty, so just a little bit of background. This is block 422, lot 8.01. The street address is 2060 Route 35. This is a 20,889 square foot lot in the B3, which is a highway business zone. It's a little unusual, the location. It's actually almost at the very edge of the borough on the border with South Amboy. And our right side property line is a jug handle as part of Route 35. Right now, there's a vacant building on the property. It's an A-frame structure. When you look at it from the highway, it looks like a one-story building. The property falls off quickly as you go toward the rear. So if you were to look at the back of the building, it would look similar to a walkout basement. So you'll see the level below in the back, and then the upstairs is really the front of the building on Route 35. I took these photos this morning just to show you what the latest and greatest is at the property. So first photo, which is on the left here. That's the existing building. You'll see on the left wall of the building, it drops down to the rear. The next photo is looking across the front of the building, down the highway to our neighbor to the left. Go to the next page. This is actually looking down the driveway on the left side of the building. There's presently a roll-off dumpster there. And then in the back, I call that the backyard. Behind this property, there's like a utility use where there's a tower and a substation. Go to the fourth photo. I stated earlier that the property is really alongside of one of the jug handles on the highway. So this is a picture from the jug handle, just so you can see the back of the building. Not the best condition in the rear yard. And then in the foreground, you'll see this kind of block retaining wall, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Finally, on the last page, two views of the back of the property. As you can see, there's really nothing out there right now. There was a point at which everything was cleaned up and cleared, but the vegetation has started to come back in because there hasn't been any activity out there. You'll see that building in the distance. That's one of the neighbor's properties. And there's some trucks in the back. You'll see in the bottom photo, that's also on a neighbor's property. So what's proposed here is a reconstruction, renovation to create a building that's really a two-story building facing the highway, which would look like a three-story building in the back. The footprint's 1,380 square feet. We do have a couple of variances, which I want to go through. The first two are nonconformities that are pertaining to the lot itself. The B3 zone requires a 100-foot lot width. The existing lot width is 88.2 feet. And really what we're doing doesn't affect that, and there's really no other land available to make that comply. The other item is the minimum front yard setback. This building right now has a overhang on the front. We measure 32.2 feet to the front of that overhang. 50 feet is required in the zone. We're going to remove that overhang and increase the front yard setback to 40 feet. So it is a big improvement, but we're still shy of the minimum 50 feet. The next item is accessory use. The interpretation of the outdoor area in the back, which we want to use to store either some vehicles or some small equipment, is that constitutes a accessory use. So the setback would be 50 feet from the front yard. And again, we're on that jug handle on the side of our property, and we only really have like an 11-foot setback to the jug handle. So that's relief that we are requesting, as well as there's a 10-foot separation requirement between, I guess, this storage area in the rear and the actual structure itself, the principal building. The way my plan is drawn, I only have a 2-foot setback. Really, that storage area comes up to the back of the building. There's also another requirement that a minimum of 1/2 of the required side yard setback is required for an accessory use. Again, storage area being accessory. So half the required side yard setback would be 5 feet in this zone, and we have 2 feet again. So that's probably something we could bring into conformity just by adding another 3 feet, but right now that's listed as variance. And then the last item is about parking. This use is very limited. The client only needs maybe 6 parking spaces on a day-to-day basis. Most of his employees don't come to the office, which works well for this particular use. That's not to say that it would work for any possible permitted use in the zone, but for his business, we felt that 10 parking spaces was adequate. Some of the parking spaces, 2 of them are like double stacked, but this is not a private, this is not a public type of a use where someone's driving down the highway and says, oh, I want to stop in a Prestige and check it out. It's really just limited to his operation and his employees. But I do want to note that the zoning calculation that the board's planner provides said that 17 parking stalls are required. In that 17 calculation, they're taking the entire outdoor storage area as having a parking requirement associated to it. So that actually would increase the number of parking spaces that we had calculated in our plan, which was somewhat lower. And either way, if you wanted to go with the 17 calculation or our calculation, which I think was 11, we had calculated here 16. We weren't including the outdoor storage area, and we still have 10. But either way, I think that the practicality of the use is that we can actually put a couple of striped stalls in the back of this building if we have to. If the board was more comfortable with that. which in fact would not even be seen from the street, but
You're proposing 10 in the front?
but two of those 10 are like double parked. They're on the right.
So we were on the, with regard to, I guess, striping 2 spaces in the rear? Is that what we suggested?
Yeah, we could do 2 or
And
3.
that
I
could be
mean,
for potentially employees, right?
it would be employees only.
So that would free up the additional spaces in the front to the extent we
Yeah.
needed it.
I mean, I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at the property, but it's a very difficult property to work with. I know what the prior use was there. It was a moving company. He had put that ramp on the side of the building, which we're gonna have to correct because it seems it's probably too steep for, his vehicles. So with the opportunity to decrease the slope of the ramp, we can put 2 or 3 spaces in the back. And then, I'm more than comfortable that there's enough parking again for his use. If someone came by later and said they want to open a restaurant here, that's a different story. But I think right now, knowing what his operation is and the number of employees, I think that the parking is enough. I wanted to go to Morgan's letter, which is dated February 28th. Most of the comments I have no issues with, mostly the technical comments, but there are just a few things I want to touch upon. With regard to some of the waivers, for example, the way we had started this project on day one was we reached out to NJDOT because the right of way here is paved within this property. And there were vehicle parking spaces within that DOT right of way. So we wanted to talk to them to make sure that, hey, if we change the use of this property, are there going to be any permitting requirements whatsoever? And the gentleman who handled that, his name is Andrew Ferranda. He's a well-known traffic engineer in New Jersey. And he was able to obtain a letter of really no interest that says, hey, what you guys drew on your plan for a new parking layout does not require a new access permit. But if we start doing sidewalks along the front edge, creating parking islands and landscaping, then that changes the whole scenario. And then we would in fact need a new access permit. So we are requesting relief from providing the sidewalk in front of the property.
If there's any other sidewalks in that area?
No, I mean, if you look at that photo down the road. So on the first page, the second photo, there's just a lot of asphalt along these buildings along the highway. It's an older style. Some of them have wide depressed curb openings and there's parking right against the buildings. But, unfortunately, the more we play around with it, the more problematic we're going to have with the DOT. And it's something we're trying to avoid. The next item is, there's no curbing in that actual parking area. While there is curbing on the highway, we don't have like a curbed parking area like you would find at, store, something like that. It's more or less an existing condition. And I think that when you look at the building and the architecture and what's proposed and the upgrades that we're doing to the property, I think that not having curbing is not a fatal error here. And, I think that the whole of the project is going to greatly improve the appearance of this corner, frankly. So if we put in curbing, it really changes the whole parking lot because the grades then all change when you put in a 6-inch curb, then everything has to be 6 inches higher all around. And it makes ADA compliance more difficult and would aggravate more or less our design. So, my opinion is it's an existing condition, but we are improving the entire property as a whole. So there's the drive aisle width comment. Just want to point that out on the plan.
Number 12, your signage.
Which sign?
What are you going to do for signage on the building?
We actually had submitted a letter to the board showing a building mounted sign on the front elevation, and that's the only signage that's proposed. There's no freestanding sign.
Okay.
So the 20-foot, is that measured from the right-of-way line to our parking stall, or is that measured all the way to the curb line?
So I'd be happy to talk about parking. That's really my biggest concern for this
Yeah.
application. So the 10-foot measurement is really from the parking space to the front property line.
Mhm.
The concerns I have with parking on this application is that you have tandem parking spaces that are adjacent to the jug handle, and you have the 2 parking spaces that are sort of blocking the access drive to the rear. When I view this property, I think you really have 6 parking spaces, which would be starting where the number 8 is on your plan and then working towards the jug handle. My concern about having these tandem spaces or spaces that may be blocking the access drive is you don't have a dedicated access to Route 35. So vehicles are coming directly off of Route 35 and into the spots. So if there's a person who is handicapped who's coming to this facility and there's a car parked in front of that handicap spot, there's no access for that person to get into that handicap parking spot. The same is true as if there's people parked on the northernmost 2 parking spaces and a delivery vehicle is coming. That vehicle has nowhere to go and is going to theoretically stop in Route 35. I like the idea of what you recommended, where we can maybe move some of the parking spaces into the rear area and then simplify the parking up front. I just don't think with parking spaces access to and from Route 35 directly, that it's a safe configuration where vehicles are going to potentially stop within the highway.
So you're suggesting, so if we take 2 of those spaces from the front,
Yep.
put them in the rear, that way it frees up that access aisle, is that what you're thinking?
And eliminate the tandem spaces with the handicap. So
The hand, right,
based on the applicant's testimony, he has 6 full-time employees,
right.
another couple people who stop in every now and then. So if you have 6 up front, you can put 2 employees in the back. That'll leave a handicap accessible spot open. And on the infrequency where someone is coming to the property for some reason, pick up a check, you have that additional parking spot. If you had a dedicated driveway off of Route 35 where a car could queue, you don't have that here though.
You're right.
And then regarding Mr. Lieber's other comments about some of the waivers we're seeking for the lack of curbing or the lack of sidewalk, there is no sidewalk in the area.
Right.
This would be the proverbial sidewalk to nowhere. As it relates to the curbing, the Route 35 is the high point of the property. And I do agree that introducing a curb would, in some respects, act as a dam, and it could impact the drainage for the area.
Mr. Lieber, do you have any comments on the parking, reorientation of the parking?
No, I'm gonna take the ADA spot, bring it forward. Okay, and then I'll take the 2 spots on the left, put them in the back. One thing I do want to state, just so it's on the record, is that when you come in off the highway, there's almost 30 feet of pavement before you get to a marked stall. So there is space for a car to sit there in the event that someone is backing out. I didn't want it to sound like it wasn't safe. And frankly, it's a huge improvement over what the prior tenant was doing there. So, but I will definitely move the stalls. That's fine.
I just don't want someone trying to make a K-turn or some sort. And again, I think the testimony is really that you need about 8 parking spaces per take.
Yeah.
I think you'll have 6 up front, 2 in the back, and
You don't have any problems coming up with new drawings with that?
Oh, no,
Okay.
not at all. So that was, the other thing I want to talk about is that retaining wall that's showing up on the plan that kind of crosses over into the DOT right away. Believe it or not, there was a prior survey done on this property by a different land surveyor, not the survey that you guys have, that showed that that area was not DOT right away. And frankly, the client is the one who constructed that wall. So when we got the new survey and showing that, no, that part of the property is in the DOT right away. Now the wall's in the right of way, so that wall has to come down. So it is not a state-owned wall. It's his wall that he put up, but it has to come down. And that'll be reflected on the plan.
How are you gonna level that off if you take the wall down?
Well, we're gonna have to build a different wall on his property.
Further
Yeah,
back?
correct.
Okay.
The other thing we wanted to mention is there was a comment here about where non-residential use abuts any residential use or residentially zoned lot. You need a 50-foot wide landscape buffer provided. So right now, there's really no buffer area. This is more or less an existing non-conforming. And I believe that the issue is, if you look at the zoning map, so where the B3 zone, behind our lot is another B3 lot, and then beyond that's R7. And I've been out there before. There's a pretty nice wooded area between this lot and the R7 homes. But due to the size and the shape of this lot, we just can't provide a 50-foot wide buffer. What we did do is we provided a landscape plan. So we are proposing trees along the back of the property where right now it's just open. More or less aesthetic improvement. But to provide literally a 50-foot buffer, we would be halfway up to the rear yard depth. And right now, there's nothing there, and the prior owner had nothing there either. So I want to, that was item H in the D point H in the Morgan letter. And then I think those are all the items I wanted to point out. I mentioned we're going to rebuild the side driveway to reduce the slope. I have no issues with the stormwater management comments, the utility comments. Lighting, I'm going to change the photometrics to get the rear a little brighter to reach some of those dark corners. On the tree report, it says we have to have 5 trees planted. If that means 5 more trees in addition to the 29, we would add 5 more trees. That's not a problem. I just want to see if I'm missing anything that needs to be specifically addressed. We're going to fix the paving in the front. There's a comment here on page 8 about existing asphalt appears to encroach into the state's right of way to the south. That should be removed. We wanted to keep that just the way it was. And frankly, that's what the DOT was looking at.
Condition of the asphalt.
Yeah, we're going to repair all that asphalt. I mean, I don't think there was anything specific from a technical standpoint that I disagreed with or had any issue with.
And I assume we'll comply with all required performance guarantees for the improvements.
Yeah, that's standard. I mean, the real meat of this project is really the building appearance. I mean, you drive by this property, it looks abandoned. So, you know, this all goes toward the planning criteria, which is, you know, what are the positives of this case? I think once you see the architectural plans, you're going to say, well, gee, this is a huge improvement. I think from a practical manner, this is a perfect location and the building's a perfect size for this property. And it's also perfect for his use. So while we normally focus on negatives, I can tell you right now that there frankly aren't any negatives here because we're getting rid of what I consider an eyesore. But in addition to that, this is not a major traffic generator. This use is not a nuisance. We're not dealing with wetlands, floodplains, streams, none of that. We're not clear cutting woods. I mean, when I look at projects and I think of detriments, like none of those things are even a part of what's proposed here. So, you know, I think that when you look at the type of relief we're requesting, I think it's de minimis. I really do. And, you know, I'm excited for you to see the architectural plan so that, you know, you could compare it to what's in these photographs and understand like this is a very good change for the area.
Any questions of?
A few additional.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You have any?
A few. So since the retaining wall is going to be removed,
Yeah.
Was the DOT made aware of that change that's going to occur?
I honestly don't think they even noticed the wall. They were looking at strictly access.
Sure. So I would like something from the DOT just acknowledging that you're going to be working within their right of way.
That's fine.
And if we're going to be removing the wall, I would like to see us remove the asphalt that's encroaching into the state right of way. I don't really see a reason to leave that, because again, it's encroaching into the state right of way. If you're going to also remove the tandem spaces where the ADA space is currently situated, could we add some landscaping in that area? Right now, all the landscaping is really in the back and really not visible from Route 35. I think when you remove that tandem parking on that area, if you remove those improvements, you could do a decent amount of landscaping that would probably complement the building upgrades that you're doing.
That would be fine. One thing I did want to ask you though is with the asphalt in the right of way, the asphalt's in the right of way on the highway. So we're already in the right of way because you need to have asphalt there to get in and out, but the asphalt on the side, it's also in the right of way. It's like the same thing. I mean, I could certainly talk to Mr. Ferranda and get his opinion on that.
So if you have something from the DOT that says they take no exception to that asphalt remaining,
Okay.
I would take no issue.
Okay. All right. So let me make a note of that.
But again, I think the changes you're making, I agree that the site needs a little bit of a facelift. And I think the additional landscaping we're talking about, I think can really go a long way to helping that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
And I just wanted to ask if you could provide some testimony on lighting and signage?
Yes. Did you get that letter I sent you for the signage?
Yes, thank you for sending that actually, but yeah.
So we had in response during like the completeness review, and I know that there was some time has elapsed since then. There was a question about the signage. We had sent out a letter rendering of the front of the building with the proposed sign on the building to comply with the size that's permitted in the zone. We're not asking for any relief for signage. We don't have any freestanding signage, just the one wall sign. And frankly,
Lights on that or just lights on the building?
you have lights on the sign? Did you want a sign that was lit up?
Actually,
This is
signage
the-
isn't a very, it's not a hot topic for me.
There's an email from Mark.
So you're just gonna have the signage on the building, you're not gonna put any lights on it? Anybody that's coming to your building knows where it's at? Okay.
Not advertising.
Okay, and then your other question was, lighting, yeah. In the back of the property, there's an area that's got two pole mounted lights, new fixtures. And I could change the photometrics of that to throw the light further out so that I can get the dark corners lit up and whatnot. The one pole I put so that the back of the pole is facing the residential zone so that they wouldn't see anything. And I have no issue revising that to, make the rear of the property well lit. This way, later in the year when it's dark early, whatever, there'll be plenty of, we could even turn the lights off at night if you want. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the letter and the comments. I mean, this looks fine to me. I think it's in character with the building type and it complies with the ordinance.
Do board members have any questions? If not, your next question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
you.
you.
I'll go on.
Nope.
Lawrence? Mr. Chairman, our next witness is Lawrence Mandarino. He's our architect. He would have been sworn and qualified. He does have some exhibits, also handouts rather,
Handouts?
and the board as well. But I guess before we get him sworn in, we could just give it to. I guess we can mark this A2.
We'll mark that A2. Just one set.
One set, yes. One set.
Okay, and as we're passing around, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear from the testimony you give tonight, truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and provide the address of your business.
Lawrence Mandarino, Mandarino. 9 Morning Star Court, Freehold, New Jersey, 07728.
Thank you.
Mr. Mandarino, good evening. If you could just give a brief background of your CV and your professional qualifications, so we can have you qualify as an expert in the field of architecture. Thank you.
Yes, I'm a graduate of Pratt Institute. I've been licensed since 1991, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania.
Okay, and you've obviously prepared architectural plans your whole career. You're familiar with this process.
Correct, yes.
Mr. Chairman, we would offer him as an expert accordingly.
Take a motion to accept his credentials.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? No opposed? The ayes have it.
That's true. Yeah, that's fine.
Are they all on the package?
They are.
Thank you.
Counsel, as your witness goes through the architectural plans A2, if you can just refer to the specific sheet. We'll go.
Okay, if you would walk us through the proposed architectural design, and obviously we can refer to your exhibit and your plans that you provided to the board, and I guess the board's attorney, if you're gonna discuss anything specific relative to the, let's remark this A2, if you could refer to the sheet number, and also, so I guess you're gonna briefly describe, the layout, the floor plan,
Sure.
the
facade, the materials we're going to be using, and just the architectural elements to the building, and the floor is yours.
So this building was designed specifically for prestige business. We have on sheet 8004, the cellar floor plan, which is used primarily for storage and some small office space, clerical area with access to the yard. On sheet A005, you'll see the first floor plan with handicap access and offices to the left and right with a small kitchen space. Takes you out to a balcony to the backyard. Sheet A006 is the proposed second floor with conference rooms and office space. Sheet A007 depicts the elevations as proposed. We have the front elevation and the right side elevation. The front of the building will be brick veneer. The sides and rear will be stucco finish. Sheet A008 shows the rear elevation and the right side elevation. In the back, you'll see it's a 3-story building with access to his office space, first story balcony, all stucco facade.
And you said the front of the building will be brick veneer, is that correct?
Yes, it's a brick veneer.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your plans or raise anything else to the board's attention?
Not that it's,
Okay.
no, not
That's
really.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, that's the presentation of the architectural plans, including the facade treatment, the floor layout, et cetera. So if you or the board or your professionals have any questions?
Anybody have any questions of the architect? Professionals?
Where will the mechanicals be located?
It's in the basement. Actually, the cellar plan, you'll see the utility closet adjacent to the laboratory.
What about the AC?
That's sheet A004.
What about the AC unit?
The AC unit would probably be within the same utility room, be one unit. And then there would be air handler on the roof.
Okay, that's what I was.
Mhm.
Is that going to be visible or are you going to put a
I haven't put much thought as to the visibility of the unit, but we could place it towards the back.
that would be preferred.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? Dan, you good?
Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Chairman. Glad you could sit down for the moment.
Thank you.
I have one question of the owner. You're going to do your estimating in this building?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the 2 project managers or you have
I do a lot of that. I have an engineer. I have one engineer that I work with.
All right, so you're doing the estimating? You put the eyes on it? Okay, thank you.
I thought the same thing.
40 years in the business.
Yeah. I know that. Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you or any of the board members have any questions or.
I can ask. Anybody else have any questions before he sums up?
We want to open to the public comments.
We'll do that. Make a motion to open to the public. Got a motion? Second? All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Anybody like to speak in behalf of this application? Anybody like to speak on this application? Going once, going twice? Anybody like to speak on this application? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to close the public. Second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. It's all yours.
Thank you again. First, I want to thank the board and your professionals, your professional planner and engineer. We thank them for their extensive review of this and their very good comments, and we think that we've satisfactorily addressed them. And I think both your planner and engineer had excellent thoughts how to always improve the site layout relating to parking and all the other issues. As you heard from our engineer, Mr. Lieber, I think generally we're in agreement with all of the technical comments. We think this proposed project, including obviously the renovation of this building, is certainly a positive, both in terms of aesthetics and also to, as Mr. Lieber said, this building really is an eyesore. And have the opportunity, subject to the board's approval, to bring Prestige to the borough to operate its business. And the good thing is that it'll be a low-key operation. It'll be for his business and his employees only. So we think the site works for their purpose. We think we've gone over the variances that are either pre-existing, most of those. So I would respectfully request that the board act favorably upon this application, and we look forward to your deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you. What's your pleasure, board?
Chairman, I make a motion to accept this application contingent upon the comments from our planner and the comments from the report.
Engineer?
A second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Candell?
Yeah.
Ms. Larman?
Yes.
Mr. Velosan?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Chairman Tai?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome to Saraville.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, and the members of the board, and
Thank you very much for a nice presentation.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Always a pleasure seeing you.
Like I said, it's better being seen.
Your own age.
Oh, yeah? You see?
Mr. Chairman, next on the agenda is the area need of redevelopment study, JCP&L site, block 174, lot 1.01, formerly block 174, lot 1, block 174, lot 1.02, block 176, lot 2.06. Ms. Vina Sawant from VMS Planning LLC.
Good evening.
Good evening, board members.
How are you?
Good.
What do you got for us?
So I'm here on behalf of Saraville Economic and Redevelopment Agency to present two studies. Both these studies were study areas were recommended by the council, so I could put my qualifications on record. I've testified before, though.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna first swear you in. Solemnly swear from the testimony you're gonna give tonight's truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name, spell your last name, and provide the address of your business.
Sure. Veena Sawant, SAWANT, VMS Planning, 570 Westgate Drive, Edison, New Jersey. I am a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, certified nationally by the American Institute of Certified Planners. I hold a bachelor's degree in architecture from Bombay University, India, and a dual master's in urban planning and policy making from NYU. I currently serve as the planning director for Old Bridge Township. I'm also the redevelopment planner for Saraville Economic Redevelopment Agency.
Make a motion that we accept their credentials.
And I have testified before multiple boards.
A motion. A second?
Got a second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No opposed? You're up.
Thank you.
Which one are we doing first? The powerhouse or the former powerhouse? Okay.
I think the slides are not adjusted. Maybe you have to shrink.
Good?
I'll change it.
Sure. So the first study area is the JCPNL site, which was a coal power plant. The study area comprises of 2 lots under the statutory power.
I'm sorry, can I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure.
I think that because this is a presentation by the plan for purposes of area need study, why don't we, as we go through these, why don't we mark your area need of redevelopment study?
Mhm.
Purposes of this application, because we're going to be referring to it throughout this presentation, correct?
Sure. Yes.
So why don't we, mark the DCP&L coal power plant area need of redevelopment study? Let's just mark it as P1,
Okay.
okay? Yes. So Vian, as you're going through it, we mark this as P1, which consists of the area need development study, which consists of approximately 6 pages,
Yes.
correct?
That is the PowerPoint, not the study.
I'm sorry?
That's the
The
power.
6-page is the
This is the power- okay, so the
PowerPoint.
P1 is the PowerPoint.
Correct. And the study was
Open the study.
distributed and on record for the planning board and the public to review.
Okay, so if you're just referring to the PowerPoint tonight, we're just going to refer that as P1.
Correct.
Thank you for the clarification.
No problem. Yes, I was a little confused when you called me with questions because I'm like, the information you were asking.
Had a different document.
Ah, okay. All right. So, under the statutory powers instituted by the state of New Jersey and the Saraville Borough Council, a resolution was adopted January 6, 2025 to investigate whether these 2 parcels that are formerly JCPNL coal power plant qualifies as an area in need of redevelopment. And based on the local redevelopment and housing law, I have conducted a study. The report was circulated to the board members and the noticing has been appropriately done. It was available for the public to review as well. It contains 2 parcels, block 174, lot 1.01, which is roughly 14.5 acres and is also known as 99 River Road. The property is owned by Saraville Power LLC. The second lot is block 174, lot 1.02. This lot is roughly 72 acres and is owned by Trogan Development LLC. The study area is located in the northwest region of Saraville. The study area comprises actually of 2 zones. Lot 1.01 lies fully within the industrial zone, whereas lot 1.02 is a split zone lot which is covered by the industrial zone as well as the marine waterfront zone. To give you a little history, the power plant was built in the early 1950s. There was an attempt to change this in 1991 to natural gas, but eventually in the early 2000s, it slowly started decommissioning and was eventually abandoned. The property has been vacant or underutilized for the last 25 years. So I went through the analysis to, I actually went through all the departments, the building department, the police, the fire, to see if there was any information that was striking and which would help me qualify. Again, it's an abandoned site. There have been incidents in the past which the police have noted. There has been suspicious activities, trespassing. There has been some tax delinquency because the 2 parcels are owned by different owners. I was in touch with CME to get an update on the roadway conditions because there is no direct access to the site. The access to the site is through a driveway which trespasses through a borough-owned parcel, and the width of the driveway is quite narrow. So there needs to be significant improvements in terms of the roadway. There is water and sewer connection to the area. There were maps attached which were provided by the utility authority, which were included as part of this report. The report also contains property evaluations, which shows whether there were any improvements done in the past few years. The records show, and the tax assessor has certified that not many improvements were done to the site, so the improvement ratio is significantly low. Now, when it comes to the master plan consistency, the land use element of the master plan that was drafted last year has some recommendations made for the industrial zone as well as the marine waterfront. It allows you to spur economic growth in that area. It also talks about the industrial zone being high on impervious coverage, or the FAR needs to be looked at. So I think this is a great opportunity. I also know that this area actually directly abuts the River Road redevelopment area. I know at the agency level, there have been discussions on redeveloping some of the parcels on River Road. The latest recommendation was for a tiki bar. There were discussions about a recreational center. I think this area is ripe for development, and so going through the redevelopment route will only encourage economic growth in this area. The study is consistent with the master plan recommendations. There were recommendations added last year. In fact, when I was reviewing it on behalf of the agency had added some recommendations so that it provides us the impetus to go and conduct many more studies in different areas of the town. The area is within the smart growth planning area. This area is also in the metropolitan planning area where redevelopment is highly encouraged by the state. Now, there are 8 criterias that are established by the local redevelopment housing law, and each one of them, like for example, criteria A talks about buildings that are unsafe or in dilapidated conditions. Criteria B talks about discontinuance of industrial buildings. Criteria C, it relates to vacant land. Criteria D relates to deleterious land uses or properties that have significant impervious coverage, excessive parking, lacking of landscaping, or any security measures. Criteria E, where there are a number of owners and it makes the development of the property impossible. Criteria F, which relates to properties that are in excess of 5 contiguous acres and that have been in distress because of natural calamities. Criteria G, which relates to the urban enterprise zone. Criteria H, which is the smart growth area. And then Section 3 is another criteria that allows you to include a parcel that doesn't meet any of the above criteria, but which is critical for the sound planning of that area. So in reviewing the two sites based on these criteria, I believe that they meet more than one criteria. So first, I will talk about block 174, lot 1.01. This is the parcel that is roughly 14.5 acres, and it contains the accessory structures that supported the coal power plant at one time. This lot is fully within the industrial zone. It has significant impervious coverage. The parking lot is in severe distress and is in poor condition. There are outstanding taxes on it for this year. And so it qualifies criteria D and H, and also it qualifies section 3 because the development of the plant site, which is to the rear of this parcel, is next to impossible without including this parcel because that parcel is accessed through this site. So it meets 3 criterias of the local redevelopment and housing law. Site 2174, lot 1.02 is where the abandoned power plant building is. And it meets criteria B for discontinuance of the industrial use or the power plant use. Criteria D with obsolete layout, deleterious land uses, excessive impervious coverage. Criteria H because it is within the smart growth planning area. And then section 3 because to come up with a cohesive plan for this area, it is important to include this one parcel. The adjacent parcels are already in an existing redevelopment area. So that concludes my presentation for the JCP&L site. I will take any questions.
I have a question. The jet plants that are on the property, are they still in use?
No, they're not being used.
The jet units aren't, the peaker units? In block 174.101?
I don't believe so because I was told that the site is completely abandoned.
I'm not quite sure about that. I haven't been down there in a while, but I know that the peaker units were working a number of years after the power plant itself stopped operation.
I know that I had a meeting with the owners a year ago, and what was told to me is they're not using the site, so I'm not 100% sure.
All right, if you could check on that for me.
Sure.
I mean, because that would alter everything that you're doing. And I'm not quite sure one way or the other that they are.
I think
They're
this is.
the five jet, you know, the units that I'm talking about?
Yes, yes, I know. And I think this is just the first step. This is just.
I understand.
Right. So I believe what would happen is when if the council designates this area as an area in need of redevelopment, the next step would be to write a redevelopment plan. And at that time, we could evaluate the uses that are in there or the uses that can potentially go there. I know Sarah is looking at all the properties surrounding it to make it like an destination place as well. So there is a lot of opportunity to review and retain what can be retained or introduce more uses in that area.
You said our recommendation.
Yes.
So just for the board, all we're doing is making a recommendation that this is a study and we're going to send it back to the council to act on. And then the questions that I asked will be answered in the full study.
Yes.
Okay.
We could take a motion to.
Let's see if
Or do
anybody
the-
has any questions first. Anybody have any questions of the Sarah lawyer?
Do we want to open to the public first?
Yeah.
You should open up to the public for any questions first of Ms. Swan and then for comments.
Anybody first of all, we'll make a motion to open to the public. The second,
Did I get a second for the open?
Wait, sir,
Okay.
hold on a second, okay, please.
everybody in agreement and nobody's, all right, we're good. Sir, you want to come up and speak? Oh, and well, come on up and tell us what you wanted. Okay. Well, that's okay.
Okay.
We've had worse. Anybody have questions on this? If not, we'll take a motion to send it back to the,
Let's close the public portion
I'm
first.
sorry. Anybody, make a motion to close the one? We got a second? All in favor? All right.
So what you're voting on is whether you're gonna make a recommendation to the council that these properties, block 174, lots 1.01 and 1.02 qualify as an area in need of redevelopment.
That's correct. I have a motion on that? Motion made and seconded. Anybody opposed? Hearing none.
Got a
Take
roll call. Mr. Candell? Ms. Larmen? Mr. Voloshin? Mr. Williams? Chairman Ty?
Yes.
Great.
All right. Now the easy one.
Do I have to put my?
Yeah, so
voice?
why don't we do this? Because it's a separate redevelopment area and separate redevelopment study. Let's reel it back. So why don't we get you sworn?
Sure.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're gonna give tonight's truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
State your name for the record and that.
Veena Savant, SAWANT, VMS Planning, 570 Westgate Drive, Edison, New Jersey. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm certified nationally by the American.
It's okay.
We'll accept your credentials
We
from
can-
before.
Right.
Excuse me, Chairman, I just want to put on the record this redevelopment studies for Journey Mill, former Sunshine Biscuits, Block 53.02, Lot 8, Block 54.01, Lots 1.01, 1.02, and 7, and Block 12, Lot 1. Thank you.
And Ms. Sawant, you have also prepared a PowerPoint
Correct.
that you may be referring to through the course of this presentation,
That is
which
correct.
consists of 9 pages that we're going to mark as P1 because this is a separate hearing with today's date. Feel free to refer to that during your presentation. And as Beth stated, if you just want to start by just identifying the properties as you
Yes.
should for this particular study, identify the study.
Yes. So under the statutory powers instituted by the state of New Jersey and by the Borough Council resolution, which was adopted on September 23rd, 2024, the council has requested the planning board to conduct an area investigation study for 5 parcels. That is block 53.02, lot 8, block 54.01, lots 1.01, 1.02, and 7, and block 14, lot 1. Just to give you a little background, this study area, which comprises of 5 lots, is directly abuts the Hercules redevelopment area. This study is actually an addendum to the Hercules redevelopment area, which was approved by the council in 2015, I believe. And that study area comprised of 20 parcels. Together, it covered almost 590 acres of land. And that land was primarily for industrial use. However, over period of time, these industrial uses started to disintegrate, and it was time to write a new redevelopment plan so that newer and cleaner uses can come in, have lesser impervious coverage with more open space preserved and a good network of roadway system. When the master plan was amended last year, there was a recommendation that there are parcels in close vicinity of the Hercules redevelopment study area that have remained vacant or are underutilized and should be evaluated for its redevelopment status. And that is exactly what we are doing tonight. These 5 parcels are reviewed against the local redevelopment housing law to see if any of them or all of them qualify for redevelopment. So first site, block 14, lot 1. It is located in the Special Economic District. It measures roughly 48 acres. The address is 4000 Bordentown Avenue and is fondly known as the former Sunshine Biscuit site. It's currently owned by Gen 3 Holdings, Inc. Block 53.02, lot 8, which is located on Journey Mill Road. It's only 0.3 acres, is actually owned by Hercules, but was omitted from the original study. Block 54.01, lot 1.01 is in the prime zone. It is a 10.5 acre parcel, which is owned by DEP. Block 54.01, lot 1.02, again in the prime zone. It's only 0.12 acres and is owned by Middlesex County Utility Authority. And the last lot, block 54.01, lot 7, which is in the prime zone, is owned by Raritan Railroad River. Now, I think the importance of this study area is quite dear to me, especially because there has been a lot of redevelopment efforts on the other side of the municipal boundary. There have been similar redevelopment plans written. There's a lot of roadway infrastructure improvement that is proposed in the neighboring town. This property lies right at the boundary, municipal boundary of Old Bridge and Sayreville. And I think that is a great location, especially with the railroad running parallel or right next to the area. It is prime for development. And from what I have seen, or I've seen the records, that planning board actually approved a site plan for this, the Sunshine Biscuit site a few years ago to add another 250,000 square feet of a warehouse building. The current building on the site is already approximately 1 million. So which means the site would contain almost 1.2 million square feet of warehousing. There is a lot of improvements that are being planned by Middlesex County at the corner or the intersection of Journey Mill Road and Bordentown Road. I've been working with Justin and I've been working with Middlesex County on some of those improvements because I'm on the other side of the boundary as well. So there will be roadway improvements. There's a railroad right there. And I think it's time for us to come up with a plan that can take advantage of the infrastructure that is around, see how we can even reduce the traffic by using the assets that are within the area. There are 4 parcels that are completely vacant. The Middlesex County Utility Authority lot has some meters on it, but it doesn't have a building or a structure on it. There is a DEP-owned parcel. It has some constraints. Maybe it's a good idea to preserve it for open space, but only the area designation will allow us to come up with a plan. Excuse me. I'm fighting allergies. I'm sorry.
That time of the year.
So again, like I said previously, the study area is consistent with the master planning efforts. There was recommendation to look at the area surrounding the Hercules redevelopment area to see if any of these parcels qualify. The Sunshine Biscuit site, the entire area is roughly 60 acres, but the Sunshine Biscuit site alone contains 48 acres. Thank you so much. I did go through the various, thank you so much. I did go through the various departments, including engineering, which I gave you a brief about the improvements that are occurring at the intersection. I did speak to the police, and apparently on the Sunshine Biscuit site, there have been 400 reports of theft, trespassing, minor accidents. So there have been incidents, and I have walked through this site. I've been to every corner. The issue with the Sunshine Biscuit site is there are so many tenants and different type of uses that don't really work together. The parking is not delineated the way it should be. The loading areas are not delineated. So it is a very dangerous situation in that area. In terms of ownership, Block 14, Lot 1 is owned by Gen 3 Holdings. Block 53.02, Lot 8 is owned by Hercules. Block 54.01, lot 1.01 is owned by DEP, 1.02 is owned by Middlesex County Utility Authorities, and Block 54.01, lot 7 is owned by Raritan River Road. The area is located within the smart growth study area. The area is located within the metropolitan planning area. The 4 parcels that are vacant are actually located in the park and natural areas, which could be preserved for open space. Now, applying the criterias of redevelopment law, I'll just go through each site. First site, Block 14, Lot 1, the former Sunshine Biscuit site. The building was built in the early 50s. Although there has been some upgrades that have been done to the building, it is still not up to the standards. I have walked inside the building. There are leaks. There are areas where water keeps seeping and they keep collecting water in containers, and there have been some fire incidents. Internally, there have been some accidents while transferring goods from one part of the warehouse to other. There are multiple tenants in the building that qualifies it for criteria E. The overcrowding, the faulty layout, the obsolete layout, the excessive impervious coverage qualifies for criteria D. Because it is in the smart growth planning area, it qualifies for criteria H. It also qualifies for section 3 because it's such a huge area. It has to be included for sound planning of that entire area. Then we have site 2, which is block 53.02, lot 8. This is the DEP owned parcel that fronts on Journey Mill Road. It is vacant for the longest time. It meets criteria C as well as section 3. And should be included in the redevelopment study area. It's currently zoned as a prime zone, but it has not been able to attract any development, probably because of the constraints that are there and may be preserved for open space. Site 3, block 54.01, lot 1.01, again has been vacant and also meets criteria C and section 3. Site 4, block 54.01, lot 1.02. This is the property that is owned by Middlesex County Utility Authority. It has a meter chamber on site, but it is a landlocked parcel which has an access easement through the neighboring parcel, and it has been vacant, so it meets criteria C and section 3. The last site, which is block 54.01, lot 7, is the lot which is owned by the Railroad Authority. It is heavily wooded. It does not have direct access from Journey Mill Road. Again, has remained vacant and qualifies for criteria C and section 3. In my opinion, all 5 parcels meet at least one of the redevelopment criteria, and I highly recommend that the planning board pass a resolution recommending the council to designate these 5 parcels to be included in the Hercules redevelopment area.
Make a motion to open to the public. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Anybody from the public like to speak? Come on up. Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Just
That's okay.
state your name and your address.
Yeah, just raise your right hand. Solemnly swear the firm testimony you give tonight's truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
State your name and address, please.
Tim Nowicki at 29 Carter Place.
Thank you, Mr. Newell.
Look, I just stopped by the meeting here. I see a lot of stuff going on in town, 55-year resident of the town here. And I just wonder, you know, I don't see Sayreville preserving anything. You know, I see us expanding. I see our carbon footprint getting huge. I don't see any reforestation. I see things like place like Bailey's Park. You know, it's endured through the decades for years. I spent a lot of time there today. I watched probably a 50-year-old turtle, you know, walk from the lake about 20 yards to go lay its eggs, you know. And I just don't see us preserving anything. You know, I hear redeveloping this, and I mean, I see a couple trees planted here and there, but I see warehouses going up. There's nobody in them. You know, we tore down a lot of woods along Cheesequake Road. Nobody's moved in there. You know, I can tell you that I talked to the people in Green Valley, you know, they have a lot of wildlife, animals in their backyard, bugs they've never seen, which came from those woods themselves because they were knocked down. You know, so I'm not here to change anything. I just stop by the meetings and say, you know, I mean, we can preserve, you know, as well as expand.
I believe
you know,
that-
there's a lot to be said. I mean, you guys got, what's it called, Riverton down there, you know? There's a lot of areas and a lot of places that you can do what you're expanding and take the open space away from.
Well, the park that you mentioned, I believe that the town's dumping a ton of money into that park. Bailey's Park?
Well, yeah, and that's one of my
That's
points. I
part-
mean, why not
part of the thing.
preserve something like that, you know, then go ahead and build up. I mean,
That isn't a
what
fun,
there's-
that isn't a function of the planning board. That would be a function to the council. You know, I mean, we can take your comment into things, but people, you know, what we're trying to do here is make that redevelopment area more useful. Some of the things that you talked about, one of the parcels was to leave it in a natural state. So, but when somebody owns it, they have a right, when it's zoned, to do that.
I'm not here to change anything, you know, you guys all have your jobs to do, you know, I'm somebody that's been here 55 years and I've seen it, you know, just get
Oh,
built up to.
Old neighbor, I lived on Lily Street.
And I just would like people to take into account, you know, that, you know, New Jersey's supposed to be about clean energy and clean this, but you know, your carbon footprint's huge here. Just keep building out and building out until there's nothing left to build, you know?
Well,
And I'm saying- and
unfortunately,
again, I understand, I can appreciate your jobs and where you're coming from, you know? I'm just a lifelong resident. Just throwing my 2 cents in here, let you guys know that, you know, we're watching from afar as the town goes, you know, to nothing.
well, we're trying. Thank you very much for your input.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak under this? Anybody else like to speak? If not, I'll take a motion to close the public portion. Second, all in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
So again, just like the last redevelopment study, you're being asked, just to make a recommendation to the council, whether you believe that the various properties satisfy one or more of the criteria under, the redevelopment and housing law, sufficient to declare these properties in need of redevelopment.
Take a motion.
Make the motion as stated.
Second, all in favor or a roll call?
Mr. Candell? Ms. Larmen? Yes. Mr. Voloshin? Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Chairman Ty?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you very much for a clean application.
Next on the agenda, old business, new business, administrative matters. Our next meeting is June 4th
And it will be,
here.
okay,
And we currently don't have any applications that will be heard, but we will be voting on our previous application, the Mazajif Sadar. Yep. Okay, we just need a motion to open to the public.
motion to open the public. Second. Anybody from the public like to speak? Anybody from the public like to speak? Hearing nobody, I'll take a motion to close to the public.
Motion close.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Need a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
All right. See everybody on